this is Sherry Fletcher, and today we are in the home of Amau and Libby Luna, and we also have Donald and Elsie Luna with us, along with Esther Patty, who was the daughter of Simona Luna. And we're going to be discussing the early history of chloride and the surrounding areas in Black Range. This is part of the Centennial celebration for Sierra County. And so, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And we will go ahead and let everyone introduce themselves.
I am Amau Luna.
Your mom, Libby Luna.
Esther Patty.
Donald Luna.
Elsie Luna.
So, welcome.
Thanks for coming.
You're welcome. We've had a nice, beautiful drive up here this morning. Let's start talking first about the history and your parents. So where were you born, and what were your early memories of that were passed on in your family?
I was born in Colorado. And you too?
No, I was born in Dry Creek.
Oh.
Dry Creek, which is north of.
It's north of here, about 2.5 miles probably.
And was it a ranch?
Yeah, that was our, that was my dad's and his stepfather's homestead. They had cattle and horses and chickens and all that stuff. We used to stay with them at the ranch. In the summer, when we were out of school, we would go up there and stay with them. And then we'd walk across the hills here to Chloride and go to school during school season. And then sometimes we'd go to school all week. And Friday we'd walk over there and stay the weekend and walk back over there. We used to walk all the time across there.
And about how far was that walk, Amau?
Oh, that's from Chloride to there. A couple of miles probably, maybe. But approximately 2 miles right straight from north to south. That was from Dry Creek to Chloride Creek. And that was before my dad had that other place they have over there. Later on he bought that other place. In 1940 he bought that place up there in Chloride. The little ranch we have over there.
And he also did mining too, didn't he? Did he mine?
He did a lot of mining. Well, that's all I remember him, working with mines. He used to work at Monument Park mine, and at the Monument mine, close to the Monument Park. And he worked for the U.S. Treasures, and he used to work at the Bald Eagle a lot. Then around like the Bureau mines up here, they used to be up here over on the Cochille Mountains. And another, he had one mine, he had a claim of a mine up Bear Creek, and he kept that claim, and he used to do assessment work every year. And he finally sold it. In 1940 he sold it for $5,000 for the one claim.
And that was, were they looking for gold or silver or?
It was silver and some lead, I think, that had there. And that's when my dad bought that other place over there, when he sold that one.
And your dad's name was Santos?
Santos Luna. Yeah, but he worked around all these little mines around here. He used to work, because there was not the mines then didn't go for too long at one time. They closed down and they'd go to the next one. Somebody else started another one and they'd go to work there. And then it was hard times. They didn't pay much then. They didn't do much. I think in those days, I remember About 1936, I think, we had the cattle already here, and they came. It was pretty bad that they were killing cattle and giving it to people. They were only paying $6 or $7 that they come in. I don't know if it was the state or the sanitary board or what it was. I was pretty young, but I remember they were doing that when we had the place here at the dry creek.
And because of the drought,
And because of the drought,
they were just
I think
killing
it
the
was.
cattle and then letting them, giving them, or selling them very cheap to the people
Yeah.
for food then.
Yeah, they'd give it away, but whoever was in the senator or the state, whoever was doing it, they were only paying to the people that had them for $5 or $6, something like that.
Right.
Pretty cheap.
Libby, what do you remember about that at that time? You were growing up on the ranch too.
Yeah,
I was staying with my grandpa, like Elsie and my daddy, they were brothers.
yeah, but what do you remember about when you were growing up at the ranch where you were with
With
your
my grandpa?
With your
Oh,
grandpa.
I used to go in with the wagon with grandpa, go help him when it was summertime, help him to get stuff. And then we went to feed the pigs. And then, I don't remember. Oh, and me and my grandpa used to walk up here and the dog. And that's it.
And that was Mariano.
Mariano, yeah.
Yeah,
And
Miranda.
like his grandpa.
Yeah. Donald, do you remember any of the, because you were born like in the 41.
Yeah, right.
So do you remember, I mean, was your dad still mining at that time, or was he getting more into ranching, or?
Well, he was. They had come from Grant, but about that time that I can remember, and he had hurt his hip, and but I remember them saying, you know, that's where he worked on the mine, and they used to. And right after that, well, he left, and all the boys like Kamau, Flor, and Santos left to the service, and I stayed home with my mom, and we had some rough times. He was drier than it is right now. At that time, we had a spring there at the ranch, and we used to. That's where our cattle used to drink, and they had other places to drink, but that was the most the one where they drank water. And that one year, I think it was in 1952, it was so dry that the spring dried up. And me and my mom, and Jenny and Armenia, and I don't know, probably Simona was around there. We used to come and bring the cows down the canyon. We used to give them water from the well every day, and then we'd take them back. And then we also had goats. I was always looking. I was about 9 years old then, 10, and they used to. I'd be looking for the goats all over the place, and it worried me that I couldn't see them because they had little ones. And I'd be looking, and once in a while I'd hear, I'd be calling. Once in a while I'd hear the goat, and that was something, to know that the goat was still alive.
Right.
And I went to school there in Chloride, and they used to have on recess, for the recess, we used to go out and play outside. But most of the time there was the deer around there. That they wouldn't let us go out on the recess because we went out there and they chased all of us. The only ones that could go outside is the big ones because they could get out of the way. Somebody had him out there in a place. I think it was Kepke. Hartson, and they had raised him up since he was small, and he used to come from over there, and they used to chase us, and we had to be careful. So that was most of them, we had, when the boys were away, they were all away. Santos were in a mountain.
and when they brought the cows to water them and the horses, they had to pull the water out where the pulley is.
Yeah.
There was no running water at all, no electricity or nothing like that.
And I think in the 50s, that was when it was so dry and there was those horrific fires up in here.
Yeah, there was a lot of fires at that time. Yeah.
And that was one of our more significant droughts that
It
we
was,
have felt
yeah.
at that time.
And that's about the time that Jimmy and Simona got married. What?
In 53.
50,
Yeah.
53. Well, that's when he used to be in. He used to go to the fires, and it was really in 53. Then it was a lot of fires. Then there's really dry too. 52 and 53. There's a lot of.
Now, Esther, you were born in
I was born in San Rafael, which is right by Grants there. Yeah.
and your dad at that time, your dad was Ramon Gerlay, and he was working up there as the mine as well.
And the
right?
mines, yeah. I think that my grandma and my grandpa and they all were in Grants that time. They went to work in the mines. Is that what it was?
Yeah, they
And
worked there south of Grand.
Yeah, and then that's when they went up to Grants to work in the mines, and that's when I was born up there. And then my mom said not very long after that, then they went to Phoenix. Is that where you guys were in Phoenix?
For 1 week.
Yeah, they went up to Phoenix, and my mom said they used to work in this farm. They would package the carrots and stuff there in some farm there in Phoenix. Because I remember her saying that her and my dad, my Aunt Carol and Uncle Amal, they would, when they want to go to town, they would catch the train. They would
You catch the train?
run and catch the train and go to Phoenix, and because that's when her and my dad had that picture made that you see in the genealogy thing that you did.
On the
her
Gerlays,
saying that.
right.
Uh-huh.
And so the obviously that was in the 40s. Now, Donald, did you go with them to Phoenix too? Do you remember?
Well, they went. I think the first time they went, I didn't go. Did I? I wasn't born. I don't think.
No.
Then they went the second time. I
Yeah,
guess.
we went. It was in 44.
Oh, in 44.
Yeah, 44,
Oh,
because that's when I
yeah,
was born.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I went.
We went to Phoenix. My dad was working in the mines in Grants, south of Grants there, and then we were working around the fields. They had a lot of carrots, lettuce, and stuff. And there was a company that offered him a job with the company over there in Phoenix for the winter, and he'd run out of a job at the mine, so we all went to Phoenix for that winter. And then we came back to Grants again.
And was that Millard? Was Millard where the other mine was at south of Grants?
And they used to call it, there were 3 mines there. They used to call it the 21st, the 21, 27, and the second 21.
So it was the 21, the
2
26.
21s and 1 27. There were camps where there was mining, and my dad worked in one of the 21s.
And so did they have like tent camps out there, or
They had houses.
they had houses?
Yeah, the companies had frame houses built for the workers.
So was the move up there then because of the mining here had just
Yes.
petered out?
Yeah, the mining here, my dad was working around Lake Valley about the time, and this contractor, he was there working in Lake Valley, told him he'd give me a job over there, and he got a contract working for fluorspar mining up there south of Grant, and my dad went with him, and there's quite a few people from here went up there working because they ran out of a job here,
Right.
and they went to work there. And he worked over there, well, most of the time until he got hurt, and he couldn't work anymore.
And so that was really, I mean, he had his land, and he also ran for school board about that time, didn't he?
Yes.
Wasn't it about 1940 that he was on the school board
He
here?
was in school board. I forget, it was before the 1940, I think. He was in the 30s, I think.
So obviously he valued education because he had run for that. Do you
Yes.
remember
Right.
any of the stories about him being on the school board? And
I remember they were in school board, but they used to do things around that the school. There was only one room school house there in Chloride. There was quite a few kids around in there. One teacher.
Was Uncle Amal, was that when, is Mrs. Dar the one that used to teach there? Was she the only one there ever, or was
No,
another
no.
teacher before
No,
her?
she was one of the last ones.
The last one.
there was August Myers too. Do you remember?
August Myers, he used to teach here in Winston.
In Winston, okay.
Yeah, the schoolhouse up across the creek here.
Uh-huh.
Up there it was so they had quite a few. You know, Adan Torres.
Mm-hmm.
Remember
Emelinda,
him? Adan Torres.
Uh-huh. Adon Torres, uh-huh.
He taught here. I went to school when he was teaching there, and one of them was Petrita Chavez and Marion Smith. She was from England, I think.
didn't Emelinda Chavez teach here
That's
too?
what she didn't teach here.
Or you didn't?
No,
That year,
but
then.
the other one was Manuelita Hill. She teached here too.
Fields,
Hill.
Seals, okay.
Yeah, H-I-L-L,
Uh-huh.
Hill. And he was a teacher.
Well, now did the school here in Chloride and Winston had a combined school, or were they separate?
They were separate.
Okay, and
That
they
was
went
one school, and this was another school, and they had another one in Cheese.
and another school in Cheese.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
one over here.
When they, that one closed there in Chloride, I came over here and I went to school here in Winston.
In Winston.
Yeah, they combined here then. And then, that was in the early 50s.
Now, yeah, and that was the time when they were doing a lot of decentralization and pulling schools
Yeah,
together.
right, right. Yeah.
Now, did you go? It was what, to grade 8?
No.
Yeah, up to grade 8. And the other one, higher, they went to Monticello. They had a
Monticello.
bus, yeah.
They had a high school.
The high school, yeah. The
Yeah.
high school bus.
That's where Jenny and Armenia went. Huh?
Yeah,
the
right
bus would come
after
and
that,
pick them
yeah.
up and go. I remember that.
Going,
Oh, yeah.
Santos,
yeah, going,
went to that school too.
going to Monticello then.
Yeah.
Now, Livy, where did you? You know, your family didn't, and Elsie, your families didn't follow the mining, did they? They stayed here with ranching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as I know, yeah.
What do you recollect about, you know, during those hard times and the?
When we were little.
She was raised up at the Bald Eagle Mine. Her dad used to work there.
Work at the Bald Eagle
I was a
Mine.
miner.
And your
was-
dad
Yeah,
used to-
she worked at the mine before. When the mine started getting away, then he got a job with ranches, and he worked for the ranch, cattle ranch. After that,
And Daddy stayed in the mine all the time, so we did too.
Uh-huh.
With Mama.
And so, and then you were talking about that with your dad. Did he cowboy, or did he ever do any
Yes.
mining?
He used to work with Rob Cox, and he used to do most of the taking care of the ranch and stuff, building fences. We had an orchard, like I said, and he used to grow. He used to have a garden,
And what did you grow in the orchard?
apples, different kinds of apples. I remember the red delicious, and then the yellow, and then I don't know what they're called, but they were tiny red.
Crab apples?
Probably, and they were really sweet.
Uh-huh.
But like I said, I don't know the name of it. So.
And you had a large garden.
He used to grow carrots and cucumbers, just about anything, beans, peas.
And where did you get the water to do that? Was it an acequia?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
know we had a
Acequia,
well,
okay.
but I don't know if they used
had
a
an
well or not.
acequia.
Or acequia,
water.
probably
They had a
the
big
ditch.
well right there, still there, before you get to Cosville.
yeah, but that was later in the year.
Yeah.
Before that, they used to use the Centennial, the water that run in the canyon. There used to be more water way back in the years. As the years started going, the water started slowing down, not so much water. Finally, they got to where they had to have a well to do any irrigation.
And you're talking about the chloride creek
Yeah,
now,
this
right?
is what this here, this canyon here, and the chloride canyon. In chloride canyon, we used to have sick on one side of the village and one the other, and they used to run all the way to the end of the little town, and we used to have everybody used to have a garden down there.
Now, how would you define an acequia, Amal, for those that are watching this that may not know what an acequia
The
was?
acequia is a water ditch where the water runs down, and the people would get over there and clean it up when the spring started to come up, and so the water would reach down all the way to the end of town and use it for their gardens. And I don't know, you've seen the pictures in chloride with all those cottonwood trees along the side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that water ran along there. They had cottonwood trees all the way down.
And so that's why the cottonwood
We've seen
did so
those
well.
trees
Yeah,
there.
I've seen those. Yeah.
That was a lot of trees there. They're all gone now.
Now, who was the Maradama? Do you remember who was the one? Because they'd always have somebody that was in charge.
Mayordomo.
Maradoma. Thank you, Donald. Who
They didn't. I don't remember if they had a Bible or not. I know I just remember they used to get out there and everybody would get together and go clean it up.
Yeah.
Because
Because if you wanted to use the water, then you had to
Yes.
work to keep the ditch going.
yeah,
And
they
all
worked
that.
together.
We used to drink water on the
Yeah.
creek.
They used to get the water out of the main creek because the creek had a lot of gravel in it.
Uh-huh.
And they go up the canyon and get it out so it would run on the side so it wouldn't go down so fast and it'd go a long ways down the canyon.
Now, Esther, do you remember your mom ever talking about Simona working on the acequia or?
Well,
No, the only thing I remember my mom saying when she was growing up and she was little, she was always working someplace for the Dines or something or some other. She would
Lola
go.
Dines, I
Yeah,
know.
she would go and work for rent. Yeah.
It's okay.
Hmm.
And what would she do there when she was?
I guess she would cook and clean house and whatever they needed to be done there. Because, she always cooked. So she would go and work at the branches and that's what she would do is cook and clean.
So now, so when you went on to school, did you go on and did you go on then to Monticello and finish your high school there? Or did you just, when you got to 8th grade, you just went to work? I mean, a lot of
I
families.
just went to the 8th grade.
Uh-huh.
I mean, too, I went to school in Tier C, and then I went to Silver City, and then from there I went to work in the 9th grade.
We didn't have the money to keep going.
Because it was, I think that a lot of times what were some of the challenges? I mean, I know the roads weren't in that good a shape, and for some families, if they went to Monticello, I mean, how did you get to Monticello? Was there a bus there, or did you have
Somebody had a, Crystal Hill used to run a little pendulum truck. That used to be the one he'd take the guys that were going to high school. And he was going to high school himself, and then he'd take them to Monticello for a long time. Then Lorenzo Lopez used to take about there too.
Then Sofia Zamora,
And Sofia Zamora later on at the last,
yeah.
Sofia Zamora used to take them.
So would they just drive their trucks then, rather than
No,
a
they had a
school?
bus.
They had a school bus. Okay.
Well, they didn't have school bus, they drove their
Like a
own
panel
cars,
truck.
A panel
their
truck.
own cars.
They just took their own cars.
School buses didn't come away. Yeah,
And the roads were really rough then. They were, you know, a lot of,
yeah, they did use those graders to grade those roads maybe once every 6 months or whatever, as long as they really needed it.
It seems like that when the United States started through the decentralization of the, you know, of the and closing up the small schools, it was when the roads started being paved,
right.
and then they would start, you know, then they had buses to start picking kids up.
About the middle part of the 50s.
Right, right.
That's when they brought up here. Well, they didn't finish it until after the 60s up here.
Right.
In Winston. But there was no electricity before then.
So up until the 60s, there was no electricity up in this
No,
area.
to hear the radio, I remember my mom bought some batteries for the radio, and she wanted to know what what was going on with the war, and she sent us outside so she could hear what was going on. She wanted to know because all the boys were in the service, and they brought us out so she could hear what was going on, you know. And she put the radio on for a little while so she could find out what was going on with the war, because she's always worried about boys.
Sure. Now, Elsie, what do you remember about growing up at that point? I mean, do you you went to
I used to spend most of my when I was small, in Silver. I spent a lot of time in Silver with my uncle and aunt. Went to school there. I don't know, 2 or 3 years, I guess. So I don't really remember much about, here, but, and then I came back and went to school in Tierce. Well, I went to school here and then I went to Tierce. That's about it. I really don't remember much.
That really wasn't some real strong memories then of your time. What were those memories that you remember about growing up? Was it the ranch, or was it your family, or?
Well, I guess a ranch and family also, because like I say, I was back and forth from Silver over here. But nothing.
And at that time, they used to have some dances here, and all the kids would get together, and they'd go to the dances. Mao, and then when they were in the early 50s, after they came from the service, they used to play in the dances. Him and Mao and Flor Santos, they'd play the fiddle, and everybody would get here on Saturdays, and sometimes they lasted until the next day when they were dancing. They had some.
Now, Esther, when you were talking about, early on, we had talked about you going to school like in the school up is at Diamond Creek, or was it?
Yeah, they had a little school up in Diamond Creek when my mom and Jimmy got married. We moved up to, it was up in Diamond Creek. He worked cutting logs, cutting trees, and so he worked for a guy named Elmo Thompson, and that's what he did. He worked, cut trees up there, and they had one little house, like one little, room, and it was, we went to school there, and they had a teacher, and he taught, everybody. We were all in one room. Then after we were there in Diamond Creek, and I guess they cut all the trees that they needed to there, and then we moved on to. I remember when we moved to Beaverhead, and I remember those big trucks moving the houses, because they would just build them, where you could lift them up and put them on the truck, and they moved the houses to Beaverhead, and they moved all of the sawmill up there, and that's what. Then they built another little house for the schoolhouse there, and we went there.
So it was just like a mobile. It was like a mobile school. I mean,
Yeah,
it was portables
that's what-
before portables. Huh?
Yeah, they wouldn't. I don't know. We thought it was amazing. You know, they'd just pick up the house, they put it on the truck, and we'd move. And then after Diamond Beaverhead, then I remember that we went on to Collins Park, and you were in Collins Park
And
too.
Beaverhead too.
Mhm. And we moved. We went to Collins Park then, and Jimmy would cut, logs there.
I was cutting logs with Jimmy.
Yeah.
That's when I came from Silver City. I went and I started cutting logs with him.
Yeah, you
17.
came when we was in Beaverhead.
Yeah,
I
right.
remember Donald came and he would work with Jimmy up in there cutting logs.
Now, so it's interesting to see how the families went from homesteading, and then to try to make the improvements on their homesteading. Then they moved into mining, and it was really silver or lead more so than gold
Yeah.
that they were mining on. And like your dad had a claim, Santos Luna had a claim
Yes.
that, and he made money from that, and then he was able to buy the land. And then, but in order to maintain that ranching, there was then, when the mining petered out, then people went into logging. Is that how, is that kind of how?
I did some logging myself. When I was about 18, I was hauling logs out of here to TRC. They used to have sawmills. There used to be quite a few sawmills around this country. Today they got them all out. Forest got them all out.
There was a sawmill right here in Winston, wasn't there,
Yeah.
for a long time? I don't know. Yeah.
2 or 3 around Beaverhead.
Yeah.
And the people there was quite a few people that had little ranches around, small ranches. But whenever they had to go to the bigger school, they had to sell it out to the bigger ranchers and move to town because they couldn't afford to stay up here. They had to go get out and go work somewhere else in the bigger mines and stuff like that because there's nothing else. All the mines had just about petered out here.
So what I think is phenomenal, we know that the Lunas moved into this area. I mean, really, Rafaelita, Trujillo, your mother, was born in Monticello, right?
Yeah.
And she was born in 1900, right? About 1900.
Right.
1900s.
So here now we're looking 111 years later. Why is it you stayed? I think that's so fascinating. And the Mirandas. I mean, this is what is so special. Why? What happened? What is the connection?
Well, I started working, and then I started working for the Forest Service, and it was a 10-month appointment, and I figured it would just keep on when I get better. But the year before, we would almost catch up with the amount of money they had, and the next year they would give us less month because we had done so good the year before. So we'd get 8 months, 7, 6, until 6 months. I thought, well, I can't make it, About that time, that's when me and Elsie got married. So then I went to work in the ranch up here for Bruce Sage. Worked 3 years there. And that's about the time that I went in to look for the state. Mao and Flor were working for the state. So I went in and looked into the state. And that's where I retired from the state. But the reason we stayed was because my dad had left this place here, and we had to look after it. And so we had to stay here and looking after it. And I had chances to move out of here, but we had to be around here most of the time. So.
Well, is that attachment to the land?
Yeah, that's probably what it was with us. Yeah. And then Elsie couldn't leave because he married me. So.
You have to stay.
Where was your mom and dad married?
Where?
Where?
Monticello?
No.
My mother,
Monticello.
I guess they were married here in Winston.
Monticello. We've got their
Probably
marriage.
My dad and my mother were.
They were married at a place called Formosa. It's on. I've got the.
Oh
marriage.
yeah,
Where was Formosa?
Formosa.
The Monticello Canyon.
Monticello Canyon. Okay.
Alamosa.
Alamosa, okay.
Alamosa.
And they may have just misspelled it on the
Yeah,
bridge.
Alamosa Canyon.
Alamosa.
That's what it is. Monticello was Alamosa
Uh-huh,
a long time ago, and they changed it to Monticello.
right.
But my mom grew up in.
Alamosa was
Monticello.
because they had a lot of cottonwoods along in Alamos are cottonwoods, and they call it Alamosa because of the cottonwoods.
I think it's still down there in the interstate. I think it says Alamosa Canyon down
It
there.
does, Canada Alamosa, yeah, it's still
Yeah.
that. Now, I know in looking at some of the old records that there was a time when Rafaelita went to school in the Kavaya school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the families were moving from canyon to canyon.
Yeah.
I mean, this would have been your mother and your aunts and your uncles, right, and your grandparents.
Yes.
What do you remember about that? I mean, moving around.
I don't remember anything, but he told me they used to live in Animas. So
Okay,
they went to school in Kabata.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
They,
they
that
lived
one
there.
time they moved from that other town up by the Coral. All the people when the water came down and
Oh,
San
San
Marcel.
Marcel. A lot of people came from
all the
San
people moved
Marcel.
out.
But they were from here, from Monticello. I think at one time somebody told me that my mother's dad donated some land for the church there in Monticello.
You're right. And that was Juan Neposanimo, Juan Eni,
Yeah, it was
That was an uncle.
Celestino.
Celestino.
Yeah.
Celestino was your grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
One day they were his
Well,
daughter.
that was his brother.
okay, that's
Yeah.
right. And so
So
they
that's
did.
the Trujillos.
Uh-huh.
And the reason they call Juan Ene is because his middle name was Ene. So there was more Juan and they called him Juan Ene.
So they knew.
Well, I knew who they were.
And he said Ene.
Eni. So
And
they
that's
knew.
what his daughter was telling me here about 2 or 3 months ago.
Uh-huh.
One Nepomuceno.
Yeah.
What?
So that's why they called him Juan Ene because there's a lot of Juans.
It's too hard to spell, so they
Yeah.
just made.
Juan
they,
Ene.
they
Yeah.
said Juan Eni. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of Juans, you know, so they knew Juan Ene is
Right.
Juan Ene.
Now, where did the family, because you talk about how rough the roads were, and if we go back to before we were a state, became a state in 1912, where did you go to get groceries? Was it Cuchillo or Canada Lamosa?
They got it in Cuchillo. I guess. What I can remember, they used to go get groceries in Cuchillo from Jerry Apodaca. Jerry Apodaca used to own that Cuchillo store. He owned the Cuchillo store and the Cuchillo bar. And he also had some stables in the back. And the wagons used to stop there when there used to be wagons, not cars or trucks, to haul freight and all that stuff up here.
From Ingle.
From Ingle, they'd go get from Ingle and bring them to stores and take and bring them up here, whatever.
Then later on, my mom used to come by from Roland Johnson here in Winston. And then later on, Alvin Howell had it after that, Lear. But that's when they were in the service. He used to buy it here in Winston. But the roads were really rough. I know that a lot of the people said they get flats, and some of them had to put some of that
Greenwood.
greasewood in the tire to make it home, because you know the roads were so washboard, you know, and all that, and they'd have to. I heard a lot of them older people used to say that they had to fill it up with some of that greasewood to make it home.
They would just put the leaves in there or the
The
wood.
whole limbs,
The whole everything in there.
push it in.
So they could make it to that.
And
Well-
they smoke a little bit, don't they? When the car was going and the smoke comes out.
That
They
wasn't
get
good.
it hot.
Well, And I know when we were looking at Juanita, which Jenny was your younger sister, when we were looking at her birth certificate, she was, your mother, Simona,
Yeah, I know.
was she helped your mom deliver her, and she was delivered on Red Hill.
But-
Yeah, we got the certificate of my Aunt Jenny
Okay.
when she was born. Yeah, and my mom was the midwife, I guess,
Yes.
to her. Yeah, helped my grandma, and she has her name on there when she helped. She was, I think she said she was 16 years old
Uh-huh.
when she helped my grandma.
And when I was born, my grandma named me. She,
Midwife.
yeah, but what did she name me when I was Agustin? Yeah.
Donald Augustine.
Yeah.
Francisco.
Yeah.
And my mom didn't like that name, so when they sent the one that baptized me, she named me Donald. And the reason she named me Donald, because she had a son that she named, and his name was Donald, and he died. So every time they'd see her to baptize somebody, she named him Donald. And that's why I'm Donald.
That's what,
There's a lot of Donalds, I guess.
Donaldito.
Yeah.
We used to call Donald. My kids, they said, Donaldito. And Donald said, don't tell me that way. Robert still remember when he used to say
Yeah.
million.
Yeah, they tried to get my goat.
Donaldito.
One of my sisters was born on the other side of the Cuchillo Mountains here. There's a little mine over there. My dad was working over there, and my mother's there with him. They were living in a little shack, one room shack where he was working, and he delivered her.
Was that Aunt Carolyn?
Huh?
Was that Aunt Carolyn? That was
Yeah.
what.
now Carolina was named after your grandmother,
That's my
right?
grandmother, my
And
mother's
Your
mother.
mother's, and wasn't she Carolina Padilla?
Yes,
Yeah.
Carolina Padilla.
And now, Amal, where did you get your name? Do you know where the history on your name?
Amado, my name is my grandmother's dad.
Oh, really?
My dad's mother. My dad's mother's dad was named Amado. Amado Villar.
Amado what?
Villar.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. Well, you know, it's always interesting how names follow in families, and you
They-
wonder. I mean, we saw Donald Augustine Trujillo in the cemetery in Monticello, so we kind of, Vidal Gonzalez,
Yeah.
who would have been one of your cousins, said,
That was-
"Oh, Donald's
That
named."
was the one. That was the one they named.
That
him.
named him.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting. And that was that was the mother of Donald. Was your
No, that was her aunt.
Her
is the
aunt,
one that
okay.
that time. Yeah, Vidal was my mother's first cousin, and my mother Paulita, the one that baptized me, she was my mother's uncle's wife. That was my mother's aunt.
She was Juanene's wife.
Yeah, Juanene's wife.
Juan Nene,
Paulita.
Pablito.
Paulita, yeah.
¿de quién era? ¿Tu mamá era Juan Nene?
No, Trujillo.
Now, Esther, where do you have any idea in looking in your family? Where did your sisters' names come from? Did you ever have any? Give any thought on that?
I know that my grandma baptized me, my grandma and grandpa, and they're the ones that named me Esther. She said she got it from the Bible, so that's all I know. And Elsie, I am not sure where they got that name. I know my Aunt Libby's mom and dad baptized Elsie, and then my Uncle Amal and Aunt Carolyn baptized Margie. So they named her Marjorie Louisa, and I'm not sure, but yeah. And Frances, her name Frances Ramona, and my mom wanted Ramona, and the lady and I don't remember who that
Yeah,
was. It was
Frances.
Frances that baptized her.
Trujillo.
Yeah,
Trujillo.
Ernest Trujillo's
Trujillo.
wife.
Y Ernesto
And they
Cano.
named her
Yeah.
Frances, and then my mom wanted Ramona because when Frances was born, she was 15 days old when my dad died. So when they baptized her, they named her Ramona after my dad.
They used to, the one that baptized you, used to name you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's what the way it was. See, that's what she said, you know,
Yeah.
right? The people that baptized you would name you then.
But that is definitely a different cultural way of doing things than, but that's
That's
wonderful.
why Esther was saying, you know, that they baptized them, they named them.
And they named, yeah, my
That's
Uncle
right.
Amal, I don't know if it was my Uncle Amal or my Aunt Carolyn that gave Margie the Louisa.
Yeah.
But they named her Marjorie Louisa. And
But Louisa was named after one of your grandmothers. Is that what I?
No.
no, I don't know. They just liked the name, I guess. And my mom liked Marjorie, and they named her Marjorie Louisa. They liked Louisa when they, and then like Frances, the person that named her Frances, they
Yeah,
they
Frances.
named
Her name was Frances.
Frances. So they named her Frances, and then my mom wanted Ramona because of my dad.
So that's very interesting. What else, when you're thinking back, any history that came through your family through oral history about when we became a state? I mean, did anybody have a feel about that one way or another? You know, we were one of the last of the, you know, to come into the Union along. I mean, we came in the 1st of January, I think January the 6th, 1912, and then February the 14th, about 6 weeks later, Arizona came in. That's Esther, that's where you and Jerry live, is in Arizona. So you came in 1912 as well. But did you have any stories that followed through the Mirandas or the Gurleys or the Trujillos about any celebrations or what it was like, or was it just another day when New Mexico became a state?
Just another day.
That was too early for me.
Yeah,
I know anytime there was a celebration, everybody get together here around here, you know, either in Chloride before I was born or and then later on here in Winston, like 4th of July or Christmas, everybody would get together. And what I remember is the boys singing and playing Santos, Flor and Amal. That's what I remember. And then later on, me and Amal played here in Winston. I played the fiddle and Amal played the guitar, and Alerico Gurley played the guitar. Amal done the singing. That was in the 80s.
Who
That's
wrote
what,
the
that's
wrote
what
the
we were building this community.
center?
Yeah, when we built that's where we got the money. People bring their meals, and we'd bring the meals and then buy it, and everybody else bought it too, and then that's where you made the money to buy that, to make that center up there.
The community center at Winston, then, that is
We
the,
bought the land and bought, and then built we used to do some suppers once a month or twice a month
Twice a
sometimes.
month.
And we'd play for a dance after the suppers. And then we'd raffle things. Till we made enough money to buy the land and build it.
Just for the land, it was 16,000
wow,
just for the land
that's a lot of money. And
Yeah.
what year was that?
in the 80s.
In the 80s?
Yeah, and then after we had the money and we bought it, then we started making money to build the center, and it was all built with the money that we played and we sold and stuff and all that stuff, you know,
Who wrote-
making some
Money.
for fiestas. We used to have 2 fiestas, one in April and another one in September. The one that was the main fiesta, and then we had a fiesta for the mining fiesta. And the miners used to come in and grill and all that, and we'd have a big fiesta.
And I think there's a large bolter there now where they would drill, they would do core
Yeah,
drilling.
that's where
Yeah.
those came from.
Is that where that came from? Is
Yeah.
from that
From
mining?
the mines, yeah.
Who wrote the music when you sang? Did you memorize the lyrics, or where did the songs come from?
We just learned them. So wherever we
Memorize.
didn't write the song, we just learned the music. That was it.
Both Spanish and English. All different kind of people, were in Spanish and English. And just had a big time.
Now,
And
Esther,
we used to cook. And we used to sell stuff too.
Yeah.
so
Before
that,
we had the community, everybody would cook at home, and somebody would cook at the other house. And they all get together and bring the food.
Make some money.
Then after that, pretty soon, when we all got the community built, they started getting the law that you were not supposed to be doing that. It's against the law to cook at home and take it over there and sell it. So then they had to do it. We built community and built kitchen and everything.
I think it's a commercial kitchen, isn't it now?
And then now they got everything easy, but whoever runs the community now, when they have a fiesta, some of them, not all of them, but some of them, if they tell they are the chairman, they'll go buy the food instead of cooking it.
It's
But
easy.
the older ones that used to be here, when they take over, they'll cook and have it there. A lot of them do. But most of them want to bring it from town already cooked and sell it.
Not as good as home cooked food.
Well,
Well, that happens with generations. You notice we cook. Our kids, they like to go out to eat. They buy the frozen stuff, and you have microwaves now, so it's easy. They just put it in the microwave, and
well, it's like anything else. Years ago, you used to eat in the house and go to the bathroom outside. Now everybody likes to go eat outside and come in the house to go to the bathroom.
They share it over there.
That's a great observation. I hadn't thought about that. That's wonderful.
when we lived in Beaverhead, my mom would go and help Jimmy, in the logwoods, and so I was the oldest, and so I had to start supper every day. I would have to, start the dinner. So when they would come, it was almost ready, And Jimmy taught us how to make biscuits. My mom learned how to make bread, because I'm sure when she was growing up, all she learned how to make tortillas. So when she got married with Jimmy, we'd have biscuits and cornbread, and she knew how to make
gravy.
Gravy and all that stuff. So when she was working with Jimmy, she'd go help him. I would have to start dinner and cook, and then at night we all had to share, bringing in we had to bring in the wood, bring in the water, because we didn't have no running water. So Jimmy would go get it in these big old barrels. Big old huge big barrels would bring the water, and we'd bring a bucket of water at night in the house, so we'd have water like that.
One of the things I remember about Jimmy was that when he would wash, he'd wash the clothes with the plunger, and he would use a bathroom plunger, and he had one of those old-fashioned washboards.
Yeah.
Probably everybody
Yeah, everybody had them.
had them, but he would do the washboard, the plunger, and you'd see it out there sitting in that big old pan, and probably you guys we took baths in those big
Wash tub. That's
Wash
where
tubs.
I remember I was telling you when my dad was still alive and we lived there in Chloride. I remember that me and Elsie was in one of those big tubs, and I remember Lyrico coming over, and him and my dad picked up the tub. I don't know if it was starting to rain, or the wind was blowing, but they took us in the house. I remember in the bathtub. Yes.
and a portable bathtub. Yeah, it is when we think about how far we've come. And Amal, I think your observation is so true. How we've switched things around.
that's right.
Yeah,
Well, everybody likes to go in have a grill out there and eat, you know. But you have to come in the house to the bathroom.
True, wash your hands.
And then before that, they used to eat in the house and go out.
Yeah,
And this the modern way.
that's right.
If you got in, because Libby and I moved to this house for a long time, we didn't have running water. We used to pull it out of the well.
This our house. No.
And we used to pull water out with a bucket. The kids take a bath in the house. We used to have bathtubs, you know, those tubs you used for washing and all that. That's all we did. Heat your water in the wood stove. That's all we had, wood. We had wood stove with a wood heater to heat the house and for cooking. Now we have a wood cook stove, and then we have a butane cook stove,
And
and
electric.
you have a refrigerator, a couple of freezers. And them days we didn't even have a freezer.
And that's what electricity brought.
Yeah.
And you said electricity came through with the Rural Electric Association, probably what, in the 50s or early
Yeah.
60s?
When they first brought the electric over here, REA came, the contractors that did it, I worked for them since they came here, and I helped them distribute every pole around here towards Hillsboro, Monticello, and all the counties as well where I helped them every pole I hauled them out.
And now your grandson, Travis,
Now
is
he
working.
works
He works for
for
the same group.
he worked for the Sierra Leone.
I call him think through.
Of course, I was working for the contractor that was doing for the REA,
REA.
but I worked with them until they finished it all
Uh-huh.
up and put them. Some of us were distributing the poles, and others ones were digging the holes, and some others ones were stringing the wire, and they did it all, all the way down the keys. And the hills were up there way back. I don't know if you ever been up to where Basin.
Yeah.
We distributed, took some of those poles there back up there in Kingston.
In that house where I live, me and Elsie, we bought it, and they had a well, you know, hand done, but they put a pump in there. When I bought the place, well, they had the pump out that well, but I would get the water and it would dry up pretty soon. So it was that you couldn't, by pulling the water out, it always had a lot of water, but with the pump, you just ran it about 10 minutes and it would all dry up. So later on I had to drill a well, and so we got a good well now.
Now you work for the state, for the highway department. Now does your son work? Does Ernie work for the highway
He
department?
worked for the county.
The county. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so you've got another generation coming on,
yeah,
working and having that stability where they can stay in the area and they don't have to move.
right.
And
And he's got over 20 years working there.
Oh, has he already?
Yeah.
Wow. And then Travis Luna, your grandson, is working for the
He
ACO.
works for the REA.
And the Mal's son, Robert, he
He worked for the parks.
retired from the
State
state
parks.
also.
He retired from the state. So the state jobs often allow people to stay in their area without moving.
Yeah,
Well-
and then Yolanda works for the state also.
Stayed
She's
down.
got over 20 years working there.
Yeah. And that's your daughter. Yolanda's your daughter, and
22, I think.
yeah.
here.
And now who are your children? Your
Donnie, Ernie, and Yolanda.
and two of the three working for the county or the state.
And
So,
Donnie worked for Ted Turner at the
Ladder Ranch.
ladder range.
and so they're keeping the ranching connection or the cowboy, like
And
your
he's a farrier. Donnie is.
Right now he's fixing a house there at the HOK, because him and Francis are going to move in there
Oh,
pretty soon.
okay.
So they got a year-round job there with him.
Well, good. Well, that's great. And then your children, Robert retired from the state parks,
Yeah.
and then Martha works for the school system.
Yeah.
And then Lillian worked for the she was working for the hospital, wasn't she? And
Yeah, she worked.
She
She
retired.
worked over 20 years.
before she retired there.
And Shelley drives school bus too.
Uh-huh. So that,
But she moved over to cruises now. She drives over.
what legacy would you like to pass on to your children? I mean, all of you think about that. I mean, because you have such a rich connection and roots to this area. I mean, I know Esther, you and your sisters, I mean, you all spread out when you all left, but this is home. You come back here.
Well, yeah, this was my mom's home, so we always.
Yeah. And your dad, I mean, because your dad, the Gurlays
Oh, yeah.
were from here, so.
My dad was born here too. So
And all of my kids, they like coming up here and hunt. They almost every weekend they can spend up here, up in the hills. They like to come up here. And I imagine they'll be here a long time.
Well, they've got the land. You've
Yeah.
got the land.
This will be home for everybody.
Yeah,
Even the grandkids.
yeah.
You.
Yeah, all the grandkids like coming up
We
here.
had went to school together and we went and then we get married.
So you guys, you grew up together and you've grown old together, right?
And then we got married. And then here come the kids.
Got grandkids and great grandkids.
And Santos, he got married in Illinois and stayed over there in Wisconsin. And he said, when but his wife ever, lost her parent, he would move back because we were always after him. When are you going to come back? When are you going to come back? So now I kind of kid with him, I said, well, when are you said you were going to move up here? When are you coming? Now he's got all the kids got married down there and they
And
got a bunch of
grandkids.
grandkids. Yeah. So he'll never move down here. But I like to, kid with them. Tell them, well, you said you were going to move up here.
Yeah.
He
Because
talked about it for a long time till the kids grew up.
Yeah.
and so you had so there was Santos the oldest? No, Flavio was the oldest.
Right.
And Flavio moved to Albuquerque, and then he married Irma, who was from
Grant.
Grants. Okay, so he
Santa
probably
Fe.
met her while your dad was working over there, then, right?
Yeah.
And then there was Flavio, and then there was who was the next one? Then there was
My
Simona.
mom. My mom.
Simona, and then they ended up settling. I mean, they stayed here for a while, ended up settling in Reserve, but they moved around working. And then there was
Carolyn, she lived there in TRC until her kid moved to Tucson, and that's when she went over there and she lived in Tucson.
and Carolyn worked for Carrie Tingley Hospital, didn't she?
Yeah, she worked there at the Tingley for a long time.
So there was another opportunity for for being able to work there at the hospital there.
Yeah, she worked for the hospital until she got married, and then after that.
And so then there was Carolyn, and then
Mal.
Mao, and Mao, you stayed here, and then there was Jenny. Was Jenny? No,
Floor.
Floor.
Uncle Flora.
Uncle Floor, and he worked for the state parks, and then he stayed here, and
He retired and he bought some more property here and moved up here.
then the next one was
Santos.
Uncle Santos.
Santos. So Santos has been the wild card. He left in
Yeah, he's the one that was saying they got married over there, and
Iowa.
he said he was moving back someday, and all the kids got married down there, so he stayed over
Well,
there.
see, he met Aunt Liz over there when he was in the service.
Oh,
So somewhere over there.
Yeah,
So that
Chicago.
he got married yet. And they,
so he just never came back after the military then.
yeah.
And then there was Donald. No, there was
Armenia.
Armenia,
Yeah,
and she lived here for a while, but
Yeah.
then she was up north and
yeah.
and when she passed away up
Right.
there. And then there was
Jenny,
and Jenny stayed here because Gilbert worked for the
Well,
city.
for the city. Yeah, he retired from the city.
So,
So then they decided to move to Cruz, and that's where they were when they got married.
right.
And then me, I I stayed here, you know.
Stayed here. So again, is it the land that keeps you here?
Probably keeps us all together, and maybe that's what it was. You know, we'd try to probably stay together. Then we had the land. You know, somebody had to look after the land.
Right.
I know me and Mal and Flor used to go work it all the time. We had a few animals there, and we tried to be around where they wouldn't be going in other people's properties, and so we tried to stay here.
What is your allotment for cattle on your land? Do you have a section? Is it a section?
Yeah.
So it's about what, 640 acres, something like that?
Yeah, you can in one section you can keep too many cows. You know, about 10 cows to a section.
And
In the forest, it's only 2 or 3 cows per section.
right.
I know that some of them people down there, and they get after them. They get too many more than that. But in private, they can hardly tell you too much, you know, because it's private.
Right.
But up there in the forest, a lot of people, they get after them, and they got more than what they should.
Yeah.
2 or 3 cows, that seems like it's not enough, but when there's not too much grass, I guess it's...
Yeah. That's true. Well, what's the legacy, guys?
What's the
We
what?
kind of talked about the history of your family. I think we've gone through and named your brothers and your sisters, and what will be the Luna legacy, and and what do you want to remember for your, what do you want to tell the audience about your children and about your connection here, and obviously you love it.
Yeah, well,
Well, it's for the love of the country and the family. You know, you have to. Anytime you're born somewhere and you live here, you get attached to the country, and you buy property. Well, you don't want to go buy somewhere else. Then all your family is around pretty close. Anytime you're going to live in another state way over there, there's going to be, well, a lot of expenses. And if you're around close, it's not so close. Sometimes it's expensive too, but maybe you can make it a little easier than if you would have to travel all the way across the states to go see somebody, And then somebody gets sick. You don't want to, you got to go see somebody if he gets pretty sick or somebody. You have to travel down there and see about him, and then this way you stay pretty close. It's a little bit easier. And then you have all your kids around here too.
That the both of you are around.
Our kids have been staying pretty close around
and
so
then
far.
there's a lot of people that come in here and they say, "Ooh, we sure like it here." They don't want to change anything about it. They like it here. Pretty soon you see them changing these, a lot of things, and they I don't know, they want to do it their way. Later on, they know it more than what you know.
It's like in Chloride, there's a lot of people that came from other states, and they opened up the museum there. They know a lot about everything. They came from someplace else, but they know more than you do.
Yeah.
The lady up the road here, she used to water every day. She wanted to make it green like Kansas. She just watered she had it green around the trailer, but she couldn't get the water far enough from the trailer, and they kept on it every year until she finally died. But she wanted to make it because where she came from was, like Kansas, real green.
But then around here, if you go watering too much like that, your wells go down, especially like this year. It's been pretty dry, this drought. You go suck at these wells, pretty soon somebody's going to run out of water, In the city, you have an ordinance where you can irrigate, but so much, and cut it off, and maybe in a couple of days more, or just so long, so many minutes in a day or whatever. And here I see some people around here, they have lots of grass that they put the water day and night, pretty soon this drought will suck somebody. I know somebody wells are going down pretty much.
The only water you get from here is from the runoff. That the creek that run from. That's where the water goes down here. And I know that the well we had there before, we had the electricity. It would go up to about 50 feet. Well, it would go up about 30 feet from the top. And then right at the end, maybe in February, it would almost dry out. A lot of the people around there used to come and get water from ours because I don't know if the well was in the wrong place or if, but they used to come and get water from there at about, it was around March, April, and May when it started drying out. But then, like in July, August, when the creek started running, it would go up and it would only be 20 or 30 feet from that's because the creek was running and raining.
Well, and probably too, starting in March or April, that's when you'd have the runoff from the snow, if you were lucky enough to have snow.
Yeah, but anymore you don't have any of that.
You don't have a lot of snow.
And years ago, many years ago, they used to get snow. Anymore, you really don't get no snow around here.
And they used to plant just without, just with the rain and the snow, I guess, from what I hear.
And so they were probably having planting like that. That would have been probably in the late 1800s, early
Probably.
1900s.
Yeah, early
I
1900s.
remember up here in this homestead they had here in the Dry Creek, they used to plant just with the rain. They knew when to plant it. You gotta know, because you more or less gotta know when the rains come, that they used to raise corn, beans, a lot of stuff like that.
Chili.
No chili.
No chili?
It's
Gotta
kinda
plant that
high
early.
to- It's kind of hard to raise chili here. It's a little high. They used to raise watermelons and pumpkins. They used to just dry land.
Farming.
Farming.
Now, where did you buy your chili? Did you get it from Cochille?
Get chili down the valley.
Down the valley? But I mean, but
Yeah, they had some in Cochille too.
yeah.
They
People
had,
would come and sell some too.
They tried chili.
Down there in, around right there where you start the flats, down here going to town, they used to bale the grass there. People, I've never seen it that high, but they say the grass used to get up pretty high and they just bale for the winter.
Just the native grasses.
Yeah, like the HOK, I mean,
Yeah.
like probably the ladder on it. Who are the people that done that? Did you ever hear about that amount? Where they used to bale?
Yeah,
Was it the Lards? Was it Sam Lard that did that, or?
yeah, I did. You know, the ones that used to run the HOK and
The ladder ranch?
but that's been quite a few years ago.
Yeah, right.
You don't get that anymore. That's way back.
Yeah.
They said they used to build grass because it grew. Well, it used to be more rain.
Well, and we can see how our vegetation is changing. You know, when there's overgrazing, like what you were talking about, when there's overgrazing,
Yeah.
then
I,
your woody-based plants will replace the grasses, and then you get a lot
Right.
more creosote or mesquite or
Weeds that even the animals don't eat.
creosote is bad.
And-
Don't let the grass grow.
and tar bush is another bad one that
Yeah.
comes in, and pretty soon it takes the water from the grasses, and then it
Yeah, it
replaces
sucks
Yeah.
all the water.
because nothing will eat tar bush. I don't think it's native, but nothing will eat it.
We call that yellow plant, what do you call it, that comes out, let's see, there's some yellow weeds.
Peppergrass? Is it a peppergrass?
No, it's the weeds. All that comes out yellow on the side, but
Oh yeah, they look like sunflowers.
yeah, sunflower,
But
yeah.
they're small.
Um,
They're not sunflower.
Yeah,
I don't
there's
know
a
what
lot
they
of-
call that.
Animals that eat around there, eat the grass, all of that starts coming out, and then the animals don't eat that.
yeah. Is that like brittle bush? Has it got a little tiny yellow flower on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that may maybe brittle-bush or goldenrod. I don't think the animals eat
I don't
goldenrod.
know, they call it sunflower, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
it looked just like sunflowers, you know, the ones that have the seed, but it's smaller.
Yeah,
That could be brittle-bush, so.
Some of the elk eat the top of it.
Do it.
In the later years, I remember when we used to come, my uncle and them used to have a big like reunion thing, you know, when Uncle Santos would come in summer, and we'd all come, and everybody would bring their guitars and their instruments, and we'd all sit around out there, have play the guitar. They would play the guitars and sing and
Jam session all through the night.
day, yeah. And Jerry would play. Him and my mom always liked to sit around and play when we'd go to reserve.
And he played here too.
Yeah,
Well,
Was there any
him
music?
and Gilbert
yeah.
Fiddler used to get
Oh yeah,
together.
Gilbert. Gilbert
Jenny.
would play, and he would start singing in English, and he would play, and then after a while he'd tell Jerry, "Oh, I run out of English." Then he'd start singing in Spanish, you know.
And Gilbert Lucero was Jenny
Yeah.
Lucero's
Yeah.
husband, and they had a ranch down. Did they have land down close to the mouth of Canada Alamosa, or was there a
Oh
Lucero?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lucero's, yeah.
Yeah,
Lucero
down there.
ranch was down.
Close to where the interstate goes by, down in Alamosa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where he was raised, I guess. And then he was in the service with the Mao and Floor up in, where was that that you went overseas?
Yeah,
Where was it?
in Korea.
Korea. They went together to the service over there. And they
Yeah,
got
Gilbert and I went together to Korea.
in
I
Florida.
seen him one time when he was over there. I went to visit. We stayed over there. I stayed over there a little over a year in Korea.
Pretty cold, wasn't it?
Oh, it's cold country in the winter time. Oh, it gets cold.
And I guess they sang over there, and then they got back and they just sing up a storm till 2 or 3 in the morning here where we had all them parties. And all the Santos kids, they sing and play, and they,
They had their own band, didn't they?
Yeah.
Uncle Santos had his band up there. He goes around and he plays for dances.
And then your grandson is playing, or he's starting
Well-
off with the group, right? As he does a lead in over in Scottsdale, or
He sings, well, I don't know if you call it singing, I don't know. It's that hip hop stuff.
Oh,
It's not, I don't know anything about it, but that's what he does. He does that hip hop, and he writes his own words, his own, you know.
he puts in his work.
And then he puts the beats to it. And my son, Michael, he sings. He went to school on a music scholarship, but he went 2 semesters, was it? Yeah. 3, and then he decided he would go into something else because he said he didn't think he could make a living, you know,
Singing.
just singing. But he had a very good voice.
well, that's another generation that the music.
Yeah.
And now his 2 sons, Colton and Nicholas, are taking guitar lessons. Jerry let them borrow 2 of his guitars so they can use, and they're taking guitar lessons.
That's neat. Well, we thank you. Anything else you'd like to add?
And Donnie, he does a lot of roping. He's won a lot of money roping. He goes and ropes
So he's doing the
every chance, yeah.
He's doing
He's a cowboy.
cowboying. Well, then that is important. I mean, I think that's a lost. We're losing that.
Yeah.
He does a lot of roping and a lot of horseshoeing. And now he got a job there with her.
Yeah, with Dick Turner.
And we've got a granddaughter. She's 9. Yolanda's little girl, she wants to learn how to do the guitar. And she sings, but you know, she tries to sing. But
They're both going to reserve this weekend. They're in Gymkhana, and they're Keaton, he's the oldest. In her age group, she's the top where they on the
we're
Gymkhana.
gonna go compete.
Yeah, and then
in reserve.
Braden also, he's the top one. His age. So now we got to go reserve this weekend. So they're going to go compete with all the counties here in New Mexico.
Oh,
What,
that's
they roping? Is that what they do?
Well, they wrote. No.
They do the poles and goat tying and
Oh,
barrels and the flag.
They pick up the flag running and who does them the fastest. And
So now we have another generation coming on, but what happens now is the horses are loaded up. I mean, this is how things have changed. We load the horses, you travel and
Yeah.
compete, and where it used to be when you guys were young probably, and you had one horse
yeah,
like at
Right.
the ranch.
you're right.
And
They
you
used to
had
go,
to, and you had to ride where you were going to work.
Right.
and that used to be a lot of people that say they used to come, go. They had to be at like they used to have big dances there in Cuchillo, and they'd go down from up here to Cuchillo to the dance. And after the dance, they had to ride back the horse, and that took them all night going over there and coming back.
Sure, yeah.
For now, it just you just go right up there and come back.
Yep, you just
My,
have,
my dad told me when World War I started, the county seat was in Hillsboro, and anybody from around here and all around that had to go to sign in, register for the draft, they were taken into the army. They rode horses, so they gave them 2 weeks to get over there and sign up. That's the only way of traveling, horses or
Yeah.
wagon. So they gave him 2 weeks to make the trip down there to be there
wow,
to register for the war.
2 weeks to register for the draft.
Today,
You
you got an
get
appointment in Los Angeles and you'll be there in a couple, 3-4 hours maybe.
That's right.
That's the difference.
It's all the technology and it's all the transportation, and we've talked
Yes.
about that, what happened here. Once the roads were paved, then life changed.
Right, it sure did.
And transportation, giving up the horses and the freight wagons, bridges, putting bridges in, and a lot of that happened. I mean, we can remember in New Mexico, it wasn't until the 30s, during the New Deal, that we had a lot of the areas that had the roads were paved and bridges were built and all that.
Yeah.
So
There's still a lot of people, a lot of kids that have to come a long way years in roads that are dirt roads, like from Dusty, Beaverhead. There's still some people, like kids that come in to Winston to get the bus. Well, there's less now. There used to be a lot more, but
Yeah.
there's less now. I mean,
but they can
Yeah.
they can probably they have to make those bus runs.
right.
So, and I won't say anything, Jay, I promise. Jay and I have this running joke about, I throw it in. We bus 4,300 square miles in Sierra County, and he says, what's up with that? But it's just what you mentioned there. It's the roads and the fact that we're consolidated in our school district.
Oh, there's some that are coming 60 miles to Winston at one time that I remember some kids being up there the other side of Beaverhead
Right.
to get here in the morning, be here by 7 and go to,
Long bus routes, long
Yeah.
routes. So,
it was up there by where Quentin Halsey
oh yeah,
used to leave. Up
Oh,
there,
yeah.
Close
Yeah.
to that.
that's right. That's right. Matt and Quentin Hulse was up close to Canyon Creek,
Yeah,
which is
Canyon
right below
Creek.
Snow Lake in our mountains.
Right.
Right
So,
next to the middle fork.
Down the middle
Yeah.
fork, that's right.
Yeah, them people used to come from almost, I forgot the place where they go for the slash.
D-bar.
The slash.
From the D-bar.
They used to come from up there and then debark too.
The people live over there, Debar.
Well, thank you for this interview. I think it was very enlightening, being able to capture some of the moments and the memories of of what it was like in Sierra County at the turn of the century. And thank everyone for
Well,
watching
thank you
our
for
Centennial.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I'm not practicing either, you know, I don't know nothing. En Santa María vivió una joven. Ella solita como un jazmín. Ella solita se mantenía cosiendo ropa para vivir. El mal hermano le dice un día: ay, hermanita del corazón, ya tu hermosura me tiene loco. Y tu marido quiero ser yo. La pobre joven quedó asombrada. Y en el instante le respondió: mejor prefiero morir 1000 veces antes que logres marcharme. El mal hermano sacó el reloj y en el instante le disparó, dándole un tiro y en los sentidos que todo el reino le reventó. Vinieron gente de todas partes a ver el crimen de aquel lugar. Vinieron por ahí pregunta la autoridad. Él fue declaró que él había sido. Yo